Hello, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Neville and Chat, where we chat about the teachings of Neville Goddard. I am I am actually captivated by him and his teachings a lot. As I stated earlier and in the previous episodes, for me in my life has been a life changer, especially when you believe and when you apply and when things actually work out, then that's fantastic. For example, one of the things that I have noticed is that I tend to um, I have started to resolve everything just in my imagination, because imagination is God. And so I just go and do what I want to do in real life. I do it in my imagination, and whatever I want to experience, I experience it first in my imagination. So the point is to just experience it in imagination, as long as it takes to actually create or materialize it in reality. So this is what I have been doing, and last time I have been reading um, some writing by Edward Art, and I said that I have learned a lot from him, and now I want to read some more about what he wrote, and I want to just chat about it. So, when you drink your coffee tomorrow, there is an imaginary duplicate of it in imagination. So, he's talking about being only one cause of creation, which is our imagination. So, it should be no surprise there is an imaginary duplicate of you drinking that imaginary coffee. So this the you we change. So we change the internal us, the internal you. This is who we exercise and who we move. We are completely one with him or her and what he or she is. We become here in this world. So again, we are completely one with him and what he is. We become here in this world. So whatever that inner you is, you are in your outer world. And whatever you were in the past, you will become in real time. But he has to be, not to want it. Okay? That's very important. He has to be. You have to be it in your imagination, and you have to do it in your imagination. It's not enough to want it, to wish for it, to think about it, but to actually be it. So when you go in your imagination, actually be it. Don't pretend, be. And I know it's like an internal feeling of just being it, just doing it, okay? So we move him into a position where it is fulfilled, where it is already so. Not just to want it, but being in a position when it is already so, okay? And he continues. I'm not saying imaginary to suggest not real. I'm not trying to play pretend with you. By imaginary, I just mean unseen, substance, a realm. I do not mean unreal. So, realm, not unreal. So, I interact within this realm just as I would in this outer realm. I hear things, I see things, I feel things that imply my success. So, for example, if you want the job, you just live in your imagination. You enter that room in your imagination. You are being congratulated in imagination. You hear in imagination. Everything it happens in there. So, I am trying to get you to see that it is all imaginary, even yourself. So, suppose you are in need of something while you are in this world. Know that there is an imaginary duplicate of it. This may appear so pointless at first, but test it, as I did with the roulette table. I found the imaginary roulette table inside of me. Imagination is the root to all your fruits in life. Treat it like a test and nothing more. You want something? Find its duplicate inside of you and just have it. Hold it, feel it. Add to it by feeling ownership of it. It is an imaginary ownership of the imaginary item. Item. But accept it. So, take it, accept it, enjoy it, feel it, experience it in your imagination. Do not discount it because you think it is just imagination. Who cares about it? It's not real, you know. It's a world of substance, like substrate, like being beneath it and being like the base for your reality. So, make it all imaginary. Okay, Christ. Christ is the power and wisdom of God. What does wisdom say in Proverbs? And I quote, "But those who miss me injure themselves. All who hate me loves death." Proverbs 8:36. Those who miss me injure themselves. So we injure ourselves by ignoring Christ. That is a power that creates the things of this world. But we have to test it, to use it. So it is a power, and sometimes it gets really scary to have this power because we're not used to it. We are used to ask for things, we are used to beg for things, we are used to work for things, we are used to sacrifice for things. We are used to do all those things that in reality don't need to be done, because if you look around, you will see people having things without having to sacrifice, without having to work for it, etc. Okay, so it's not something that is mandatory, but it's something that is shown to us, you know, like on the bridge of incidents. So make it all imaginary. Eventually you will see even yourself is and you are imaginary. It does not matter what the appearance is, it is rooted in imagination. If you continue to dismiss your imagination as only imaginary, meaning not real, then you will allow any kind of activity inside yourself. So, let's read that again. If you continue to dismiss your imagination as only imaginary, so as something not strong, not real, not anything of value, so meaning not real, then you will allow any kind of activity inside yourself. You will be open to imagining things that will in the end injure you. And that's true. I have experienced that many times in my life. Instead, be protective of your imagination and do not allow yourself to bow to false gods. Such beautiful words. So I take what appears so far removed from me and make it imaginary. What is far becomes close. What is there becomes here. What is later becomes now. What is wanted becomes fulfilled. Okay? This part is very, very, very important because we have to find a way to actually experience things in our imagination, because experiencing them in the imagination will make it also so in the 3D reality. Okay? Okay. So, as you are told in Genesis, "Come close, my son, that I may feel you." Your voice sounds like my son Esau, but come close that I may feel you. So it's not about hearing it, but about feeling it, like with your inner touch. Well, he came close and he felt him, and he felt the hair which Jacob didn't have, so that must be Esau. So if it seems Esau, then it is. And it had all the qualities of objective reality, for Esau simply means the objective world. So he gave to this imaginary state, which is purely subjective, the objective tones, the objective reality. Now, you can prove it right now. Sit here and see the difference between a simple little object like a ball. Take, for instance, a tennis ball, take a billiard ball, take a baseball, take a football, and you can discriminate between all these different balls. Well, you can't discriminate between nothing. If they are all nothing, because they are not objective to your senses now, you couldn't discriminate. Isn't it so? But if you can discriminate in texture and you can feel the difference between a tennis ball and a billiard ball, and between these two and another ball, a baseball or a football, if you can discriminate between these different so-called unrealities, well, then they are not unreal. They are real, but not yet made objective to your senses. So, they are real, but not yet made objective to your senses. But now you make it real in your own mind's eye, and then it becomes real. You can try just for fun, but don't do it to hurt another. Never hurt the other. You can take it with a flower. It gets to the point where you don't do it anymore, because although the one who sent you the flowers took the pleasure in sending it, you're almost embarrassed because it cost money. You figure, oh, well, why do I do it? So you stop doing it because the flowers come. The impulse is there to send you lovely flowers, and it was just a thing that you had envisioned and saw and gave thanks for. You didn't thank the individual. You thanked the being within you for presenting you with the flowers. Then the one on the outside, even without an occasion, sends flowers. And you have flowers because you simply could get the odor or the looks or the feel, and you simply did it. After a while, you just don't do it. At least not at all, and not as often. Okay, and to finish our day, let's read some interesting quotes and chat about these quotes from Neville himself, from the man himself. Okay, so change your conception of yourself and you will automatically change the world in which you live. It is the idea of as within, so without. Do not try to change people. They are only messengers telling you who you are. Revalue yourself and they will confirm the change. You know what, my friends? You know what is actually interesting? It is interesting that I have been thinking exactly these thoughts today, okay? Like thinking about trying to do something on the outside, trying to change things. I've been talking about changing the outside a lot the last time, and I have to tell you, it is very tempting to try. I mean, you start with these teachings, you get a lot more internal power. You you start to see yourself differently. You start to accept this power. You start to see yourself in a much different light. Okay, you start to going or achieving things in your mind, and then things start to happening in your outer world. Okay, and now all of a sudden you want more, and you're not as comfortable doing that in the 4D, and you try to get that in the 3D. Okay, you try to actually get things, and then you usually get hit in the head because of that. Something happens that humbles you. Okay, that your outer self doesn't have the power. It is always the inner self that has all the power. Okay, so this is a quote from Your Fate is Your Fortune. Change your conception of yourself and you will automatically change the world in which you live. Do not try to change people. They are only messengers telling you who you are. Revalue yourself and they will confirm the change. Okay, so the world will change according to you. Okay, then we have a quote from Resurrection where he says, chance or accident is not responsible for the things that happen to you, nor is predestined fate the author of your fortune or misfortune. Your subconscious impressions determine the conditions of your world. So it's always the images that we create in our heads that are responsible for the things that we will encounter down our road. Sometimes it's hard to believe that, but I still believe that's the truth. Okay? The subconscious is not selective. It is impersonal and is no respecter of persons. The subconscious is not concerned with the truth or falsity of your feeling. It always accepts as true that which you feel to be true. Not just the feeling of being true, but to feel it with a whole array of sensations, like to feel a glass of wine in your hand, to feel standing there somewhere. Okay? And actually it's very interesting because when you think about famous people that has said something like that, I remember about, for example, David Goggins, who he says that he created Goggins. Okay, so he created it. It wasn't before, and now he created it, and he created it from his imagination, from being alone in a room. And I remember him saying that he pulled that up from inside himself. Okay, so that's very telling in my opinion. And then also when he was in trouble, he said he envisioned himself on the podium getting the badge of being a Navy SEAL and saying how he was just thinking about the feeling that 1 second was worth all the trouble he went through. So I believe that he subconsciously found the same thing as Neville is talking about. So feeling is the essence of the subconscious to the truth of that which is declared to be true. So we have to declare. Because of this quality of the subconscious, there is nothing impossible to man. Whatever the mind of man can conceive and feel as true, the subconscious can and must objectify. Your feelings create the pattern from which your world is fashioned. And change of feeling is a change of pattern. Okay? So this is how we resurrect ourselves. We do that by feeling what is unseen, by touching what is unseen, by being where we are not standing. Because if I, the inner man or the inner woman, am somewhere else, then I have to be there because I am there. Okay? So, I mean, guys, such beautiful thoughts, such beautiful things. I love it. I love it with all my heart, my friends. So let's wrap it up. I hope that you enjoyed this video and hope to see you next time. All the best, my friends, and let us go into the silence.